Hello, and here we go again. Patroma Therapy, Season 2, Autumn, Episode 8. We're going to be discussing Narcissus, the Greek myth, and also narcissism, the psychological phenomenon. It sounds like there's a little bit of an echo, and actually the word echo becomes a character in the story of Narcissus. Have you ever heard of the Greek myth, Narcissus?
I read it when I was a child, I believe, and I don't remember much.
Well, Narcissus was a beautiful young man, and in the story of the Greek myths, we're dealing with archetypes. So, there was probably no specific Narcissus, but there's lots of, handsome young men that the mother dotes upon. And the story is that Narcissus had blonde hair and was kind of a golden boy. And the message was given to his mother that as long as he doesn't get to know himself or see himself, he'll be okay. But should he see himself or get to know himself, then something bad's going to happen. So I think there's some other fairy tales where the mother tries to take away mirrors or something like that. But Narcissus has different people falling in love with him. Not only women, but also men find him very attractive because that's cool if you're Greek. Anyhow, this one girl starts following him, and her name is Echo. And something's happened to her, and she's kind of lost her voice, but she falls in love with Narcissus, and Narcissus says, "No way, no girls for me, no, no," and she's like all over him and excited, and so he kind of runs away, and she's all depressed and sad, and then somehow she's off wandering around sad, and he just like lays down near this pond, and he just glances into over the edge of the pond, and he sees this beautiful, handsome face, and he thinks that is the most amazing, beautiful face I've ever seen, and he doesn't know that it's his own reflection. So he falls into the pool and somehow drowns, and the story is that the beautiful daffodils grow up from the pool's edge, and they're beautiful yellow and golden flowers. And meanwhile, Echo is like sad. So that's kind of the wrap up of the story. What do you know about narcissism? That's a term that's modern term.
Calling someone a narcissist is generally insulting. I don't know why. From what you've just said, I think that the term now, I knew that, but now I can totally be sure that the term comes from the Greek myth in which beautiful Narcissus was fated to last over his own reflection until he dies. And why this has a negative connotation, I don't just understand.
Well, see, the thing is, if I've heard in Dallas and in Houston and up in New York, women talking about, oh my, he's such a narcissist, like he's such an egomaniac. This is how I've heard it talked about, like good-looking guys that have a lot of confidence, they have a lot of money, they attract beautiful people, but these beautiful people blame the guy. It's not his fault he's good looking, right? Just like Narcissus, it wasn't his fault that he was born handsome. But yes, narcissism is used as a negative term, like he's such a narcissist.
But you said that the girls say that their partner is a narcissist, and I immediately think that I'm a guy, right? And it's somehow the guy who's labeled the narcissist usually. This can be true, but I'm a man, and this sounds like a few of the women I knew in my life. Anyway, I consider myself a teacher, helper, someone who could possibly inspire people to be better. Am I a narcissist?
Well, I think that a narcissist is actually someone who attracts people. If you are nice looking, you have a nice voice, you have a certain amount of money, you know how to order a drink, you know how to drive a car, you know how to open a door. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And the kind of women that like those kind of guys are the very women who blame them.
Huh. That's
So with yeah, I mean the basic thing with being a man is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's catch 22. Like you can never win.
huh.
I'm
Also,
sorry.
speaking of work related environment, I think I always thought that some people who can achieve a lot are narcissistic people because they are more likely to be, first of all, viewed positively by the bosses because they have high energy levels and they want to take leadership roles. And in
Right.
our corporate
Yes.
hierarchy, it's like seems to me that there's always a narcissist or flat out sociopath at the top.
Well, the thing is, the another characteristic, like in 19, let me see, when was it? I think it was like in 1979, some American psychologists came up with this narcissism scale, and they were talking about some of the characteristics of a narcissistic personality. And one is having a grandiose sense of your own self-importance. But I've also noticed that people who have confidence, people who don't get tied up in a bunch of like petty drama, just keep moving the ball forward, they rise to the top. And I think being confident and moving the ball forward, that's how the game is won. But
Hmm.
when it comes to dating and then when it comes to dating and interpersonal relationships, a narcissist from the clinical point of view can't feel the feelings of other people and they just can't they have zero sense of empathy, like
And
they're all about yeah
now 5 minutes
it's
ago
just
you mentioned a girl, that nymph, who loved Narcissus, and I'm thinking that if that can qualify for a human counterpart, and maybe also just as damaged as a narcissist, only uh,
yes yeah she got infatuated. So infatuation is beyond normal attraction. She got infatuated with him. I would say she might have even been stalking him. Like, I'm just taking it into modern times where people they go back and look at Facebook or they go look at Instagram or they go back and look at these social media platforms to see what some old boyfriend or old girlfriend's doing, just to keep tracking them and following them. And Echo sees Narcissus and becomes infatuated with him and keeps following him and following him. And he finally has to tell her, no, no, I'm not going to lie with you. I'm not going to lay down with you. And she just won't take no for an answer. So she's kind of obsessive there.
mhm. I think that resonates somehow with what I'm feeling these days, like being in a lockdown and vulnerable to depression. And if had I been a narcissist, I would have had like overinflated sense of importance, or and feel maybe even felt less stressed, and was a bit happier than I am now. Horrible, true, but
Well,
maybe a bit happier. And
well, I have a, yeah, I think you're right. This lockdown is bringing out the best and the worst in us. I have a friend. As soon as the beaches opened and the hotels opened in Florida, he and his buddy left Dallas to go to Florida, and they were, people had been locked down, January, February, March, you know, uh, so the beaches were open, and so he was telling me when he was down there that they had all these golf specials and drink specials because the bars and the clubs were not making any money, so everybody was like gone hog wild. And he was telling me about a group of nurses from Nashville. Now, doesn't that sound like a porn movie? Nurses from Nashville. But the point was is these women were down there just completely just out of control and just so glad to be out of the confines of the lockdown. So I mean, I don't know, I don't recommend that you go to a beach resort, but where could you go to feel better?
to the wood. Let me tell you this
Go
story
to
too, because everybody
tell me.
likes to hear my stories. I just said
Tell
that, and
me.
I think that's
Tell me.
exactly what narcissist would have said.
No, tell me.
No, I just nah. That was I don't know.
You're not
Uh,
ready. Well, you are making progress in therapy. You're here. You've admitted that you need help. I also admit that I need help. I've been very wound up lately about things and looking at no one can fly during the holidays. Families are separated. So I think families and people are stressed out because they're either forced to be with their family or they can't get with their family. And we had this previous couple episodes ago about lockdown, and I don't know. I do think that there's a hopeful point in the story of Narcissus. You know, the warning is that he should not get to know himself or see himself. And actually, when Narcissus glances into the pool, he sees something that's pleasing and something that's nice. And so maybe it is okay to get to know ourselves. I mean, even though we have some dark side, maybe it's okay to say that you're prone to depression or you're prone to anxiety or I'm like wound up. Could there be anything good about knowing yourself?
well, could I say that again? The line broke up. I didn't exactly hear what you said.
Okay. What I'm saying is that Narcissus was warned not to get to know himself, not to look at himself, but he actually did see himself as someone attractive and desirable, and and should he have been punished for that? I mean,
That's
isn't it sort of good to know that you're depressed or you're prone to anxiety? I'm wound up. Isn't it good that I recognize that that's an issue to deal with?
yeah. I don't know. Maybe there is or there should have been a term that covert narcissist. How do you call that? I don't know. The
Covert,
covert narcissist. But again,
like
this
undercover narcissist.
uh-huh. I think that might as well be. And
Well, as soon as the restrictions were lifted a little bit, a lot of people went to the barber, to the beauty shop, to get like that great haircut. And I think at one point in time that you had mentioned earlier that when the barber shops opened up again, that you were happy to get back in the chair and let somebody else try to do something with your head. So
you know,
do you
yeah,
have any closing thoughts here for narcissism?
yep. You said that lockdown mentioned or this restriction been lifted, and I read it somewhere that was very funny to me. Like, when this lockdown is over, let's not tell some people.
Okay, I don't know. I have no idea when it's going to be over. No one knows. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just going to keep having episode after episode after episode. One little parallel that I wanted to mention, like we had spoken in another episode about vampires and how vampires are not, when they look into the mirror, they can't see themselves. And here we have Narcissus. Everyone was hiding mirrors from him, so he couldn't see who he was. But I guess facing ourselves and facing the realities of what we're dealing with is part of dealing with life, and that's kind of what we're doing here in Petroma Therapy.
Yeah. Let's be reasonably happy. That's always a good thing.
That sounds good. Well, thanks a lot for now, and we'll see you at the